Hi, my name is Fedele, and I'm the founder and the executive director of a ministry called Shade. I'm excited to share a little bit about my story today. I grew up in a Christian home, but it wasn't until college that I really started to explore God's call in my life. And I remember telling people in college, I want to do something big with my life. I started to see if cross-cultural missions was that calling. And this led me first on a short-term trip to Kazakhstan, after which I concluded that I'd be of better use for the kingdom in my own culture. But the truth was that God just needed to prepare me more for what was in store. After graduating from college, I had the chance to settle down in Seattle, but I had that still small voice that spoke of bigger things to come. So I took a job as a teacher. I moved to New Orleans, and this became my mission field as I lived and worked in my community. But deep down, I knew this wasn't my something big. It was after my third year of teaching that the opportunity came up for me to travel to Tanzania on a short-term mission trip. And while I was there, we worked with vulnerable children, and it was amazing. And when I was leaving, I had this deep sense of peace, knowing that I would be back one day, one way or another. I returned to my teaching post, and I started to research mission agencies and different opportunities to get back to Africa. And I ended up in Mozambique with Iris Global for a 2.5-month mission school the following summer. While I was there, it was incredible. God taught me so much about His heart for missions. It wasn't that I was serving Him or doing something for Him. It was understanding His incredible love for me and falling in love back, realizing that I'm in need of nothing when I've found in Him, that I don't have to look for anything in this world, and that creates a sense of freedom and willingness just to give my life away because of this incredible love. I experienced the Holy Spirit in powerful, life-changing ways that it would equip me for what was to come. I was planning to return to the U.S. to teach again, but God had other plans. During the first few weeks of school, I received a prophetic word that didn't really make sense to me. He said, I know this seems strong, but I hear God saying that you are not a prostitute. And it was not until weeks later, when an outreach team came from Kenya was presenting about this missions opportunity that they had, that God brought the word back to mind. And in that instant, I knew that I had to quit my job, leave everything behind, and go to Kenya to minister to prostitutes. And in the presence of God, hearing His voice so clearly in my spirit, my answer was yes, of course. But then the voice of reason kicked in. What about my job? My house, my dog, I might let people down. This is so irresponsible. How can I make this decision? What if God doesn't come through? What if He doesn't provide? What if He doesn't tell me the next step? I'll have given up everything. And so I decided to pray, to seek God, and I promised Him that I wouldn't act until He confirmed and told me to do this. And so in faith, I waited as weeks passed and the deadline approached. But on June 27th, 2013, I wrote in my journal, God met me. This morning, He told me to stop planning, preparing, worrying. He told me to let it all go. If I was to act, He'd tell me, bring me someone with a word or open a door. I said, okay, I'll stop. It seems illogical and irresponsible, but I let go. God, you'll have to do it. You'll have to figure it out. And that morning in worship, I heard God say, every step you've taken has started with an application. I fell to the floor. I cried, Kenya, this was it. And I pictured God holding me, my head in His lap. He was comforting me and wiping away my tears. And I felt Him stroke my hair where I had a shaved part on the side. And I heard myself say, Lord, I'm so crazy. And He reassured me that He had made me. And so He put the crazy in me. And I said, yes, this is true. And God continued to speak and said, up until now, the crazy has looked like a shaved head. But I put that in you so that you'd say yes when I asked you to go to Kenya. And of course, God, I'll go. Yes, I said back. I called my boss. I quit my job. I asked my roommate to take care of my dog. I changed my plane tickets. I went to Kenya. And while we were there, I saw so many miracles. But what was most powerful was when God spoke to me again. When I'd been in Mozambique, another team went on a mission trip over to Tanzania. And while there, they unfortunately uncovered some dishonesty with our local partner. And so sitting at a guest house in Kenya, I received this news, but then God spoke to me His vision. He wanted to rebuild. He wanted to redeem. He wanted to take back what the enemy had stolen. And He gave me this vision to build a place for vulnerable children. They would have a school and homes and resource center and more. And it would be a place of His heart from Psalm 68:6 that says, God sets the lonely into families. And this was the beginning of Shade. So equipped with this vision, I returned to the U.S. I completed a 9-month ministry school. I started telling people about what God was calling me to do. I registered a small nonprofit with a little team in the U.S., began raising support from friends and family. And in October of 2014, I boarded a plane with a one-way ticket to Tanzania. A few suitcases, a big vision, and I had such a deep sense of peace about it. When I arrived, I had little idea where to start, but I knew that God's vision was for the most vulnerable children, so I decided to start serving inside a center for kids with albinism and other disabilities that was run by the government. Albinism is just a genetic condition that results in a lack of pigment in a person's skin, eyes, and hair. But if you're born with albinism in Tanzania, there's a great likelihood you'll face violence and discrimination because of dangerous beliefs promoted by witch doctors that lead to the maiming and the murder of people with albinism for their body parts, which are used in rituals thought to bring luck and wealth. This is coupled with discrimination, visual impairment, high sensitivities to the sun, increased risks of skin cancer. And so these children were so vulnerable. And I was allowed to visit this center of over 500 kids and was given a little space to start a preschool in that center. I hired 2 Tanzanian teachers and worked there for over 3 years. And during that time, we had missionaries come. We got legal custody of a little boy experiencing homelessness. We brought him into our home. We started a transitional program for young adults with albinism. We saw lots of hard things, but also so much transformation, and God was at work. In my mind, this whole time was this vision that God had given me to create a place of holistic love and care for vulnerable kids. So this led us to purchase land and begin its development. So after 4 years on the field, I returned to the U.S. to work on the American side of things and hired a Tanzanian director to take over. My goal was always to equip and empower Tanzanians to create change for their own people and country. I'm so proud to say that Shade has a fully Tanzanian staff now of over 30 people. In the past several years, we've seen dramatic growth. The Shade campus was developed. We drilled a well. We built buildings. We started Shade School. We now have 3 buses, a poultry farm, a community garden, over 200 kids at our school. We have outreach initiatives that are changing our community and empowering people. It's incredible what God has done. It's incredible to look back and see me, a 20-something, hearing a small voice that longed to do something big for God with my life. And it's incredible that God chose to use my simple yes, my willingness to go, and how He orchestrated everything, the good, the bad, the hard, the miraculous, to express His heart for the most vulnerable in Tanzania.